Welcome back to the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico. Blitz. Make sure you hit that subscribe button at the bottom left-hand corner. We're also on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, and the iHeartRadio app. My next guest, we're feeling really Bay Area today. You feel me? Can I get a yee?
Yeah, you already know, man. Yeah.
Baby Gas is in the building, bro. What's
man,
poppin'?
the Ghetto Vato, man. What's up with the guy,
Ghetto
man?
Vato, man. Yo, I checked out the record. I forgot who reached out to me, but then as soon as I heard the record, I was like, yes!
The intro.
Yes,
Ghetto
it
Vato
was the intro.
Yeah.
And it was the best intro that I could have gotten. But then I looked back at your IG just today, and I saw you also had a record with E40, Life in the Ghetto.
Yep.
It's dope, man.
Yeah, that's actually a record that I had released before.
Okay.
It was originally on my Quarter Soups and Sugar Water album. You know what I mean? And I had to remix it, man. I feel like they slept on it a little bit. And it's one of the, I like to make timeless music.
Yeah.
So even though I released it about a year ago, a lot of people ain't heard it. You know what I mean?
I feel you, man. And especially the idea that, like, life in the ghetto, it just doesn't change, man.
No.
It's something that can be... It's a story that can be brought on for eons.
And you see how, if you listen to the record, which actually dropped, I think, on the 12th, we have E40 on there, and he kind of gives, like, a different outlook on the ghetto and how things go on the ghetto. Like, he starts talking about plant-based food and, eating swine and, all that, you know what I mean? So I think you can kind of get a taste of the ghetto around, not only just the violence in the ghetto, but the fun, the good, and the bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I'm
definitely fuck with the track.
There's so many aspects to it, bro. Like, for instance, like, I didn't grow up in, like, a ghetto neighborhood, right? But then having so many people who grew up in ghettos on this podcast has just given me so much insight about the livelihood that goes on in your type of areas.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of an interesting complex because, especially in, like, gang culture, right? I've learned that a lot of it is mainly for protection. And initially, when it's lit out to the world, it just looks like a whole violent ass area. But it's like, nah, everybody just needs to protect themselves at some point.
Yeah, and just to kind of put that in the air, where I'm from, it's a little different, man.
Where are you from?
I'm from East Oakland, California. You know what I mean? The deep and 900 zone. You know what I mean?
Bro.
And I ain't with the gang banging. That's one thing I don't do. When I was growing up, we was tripping on blocks. It was turf wars, you know what I mean? It wasn't really like a gang thing around me, you know what I mean? So as far as the gang banging, I know that kind of, surprises people, coming from Northern California, the Bay Area, period. I think a lot of people off the bat think like, oh.
Well, yeah, because it's huge both in the Bay Area and in Los Angeles especially. How do you manage to keep yourself off the streets like that?
It's not about me keeping off the streets because, that's one thing I can't do. I'm, like, stuck in them right now, you know what I mean? But, that's just how it is, though. I think a lot of people just feel, like you said, a lot of people join certain movements for protection or because they thought they knew what they was becoming a part of. And I've never been a follower, man, you know what I mean? But as far as respect, that's one thing I do demand, you know what I mean? So no matter on, I fuck with everybody, you know what I mean?
Man.
It don't matter what gang you from, you know what I mean? I'm not that one. I fuck with people that fuck with me, you know what I mean? Solid individuals, you know what I mean? Because like you said, some people just need it for protection.
Yep.
So a lot of these gangs are filled up with a lot of bullshit, you know what I mean? So I don't pick and choose by gangs and none. I pick and choose by solid individuals.
By respect, man. You
sure.
sound like a real Bay Area head right now because, one E40 line that always sticks out to me, you ain't got to like me, but you got to respect me.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's that type of shit I feel like really got engraved into all of us from the Bay Area. Because, there's so many people we come across that you might not be feeling with or the energy might not be off, but you kind of just keep your distance. And it's like, look, like, if we could just be together in, like, this area and, nothing can go down, cool. We just live on to find another day.
That shit dying, to me, that shit dying down, man. And niggas trying to get money out here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a whole different, motherfuckers been getting money.
Yeah.
But, the honest truth is that now people want more money than they kind of want that respect, you know what I mean? It kind of changed the game a little bit.
You know what was an interesting dynamic? Have you ever heard of Wendy Day?
I haven't.
Wendy Day used to be some sort of representative for Cash Money, Young Money, Cash Money, right? And she threw out this interesting statistic where a lot of people who are entering the rap game a higher percentage of them said they just want respect as opposed to money. Because you think about it, and there's so many different ways to get money, but then there's very little ways to actually gain the respect of a peer or, you know, somebody just like sitting right across from you.
I mean, you know, I think it just kind of, it goes back to back in the day, man, in the streets, your individuals that had money wasn't necessarily, you know, there's a difference from an individual from the hood or an individual from the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You might have grown up in the hood. That doesn't mean you were outside. You might have had money. That doesn't mean we respected you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A lot of individuals was walking around here borderline homeless and had more respect than these individuals with the money. You know what I mean? So now I think in this generation, you know, where clout is a big thing and you looking at all this social media thing, you have money, you automatically a real one. You know what I mean? So
you have hella followers, you're automatically a real one.
Yeah,
and ain't that a bitch, bro? That shit.
You know, but you know, we stay true to the ghetto, man. True to our ways. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so,
sir.
For sure.
Well, you know, I really appreciate the movement that you're doing too. I want to ask you this because this has been stuck on my mind for the past couple of weeks. So have you heard of AMBJ?
I haven't.
So he has this song. It's this kid from Watts, this black kid who made this song called Uno.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah, so the Uno Dos Tres,
okay.
you know what I mean? And then I've been seeing more and more people in the hip-hop community use Latin-inspired music.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, what's your take on that?
I mean, I think there's a lot of takes on it, you know what I mean? And this is kind of just to the fans because we get that a lot from the fans, you know what I mean? For one, a lot of people still, like, when hip-hop first started, you know, it involved, like, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, you know, down on the East Coast. But Mexicans, because I'm Mexican and Salvadorian, so Mexicans and Salvadorian wasn't part of that upbringing,
hip-hop
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I started rapping, it was all new, you know what I mean? And people kind of, like, looked at me as if I came here to steal somebody's culture. But once again, keep in mind, I'm from East Oakland, California. It's a black and brown city. You know what I mean? So we grew up around each other.
The cultures blend so much.
You know, we grew up around each other. So I think, you know, I got mutual respect for everybody. You know, even if you ain't Hispanic and you making your little music off the Hispanic culture, that's cool. I don't knock it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I'm from a black and brown community where we kind of just vibe off of each other. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because that's actually where the Ghetto Vato comes in place. You know, like the title and everything as far as that. You know, everybody's wondering why why I talk like this, why I move like this, why I dress like this. And that kind of goes back to, you know, my environment. You know
I get you, bro, because even when I was listening to your music, like, you use the N-word a lot.
I do.
And you know what I mean? Like, I think even Stupid Young was getting backlash for that, too, because, you know, he is Cambodian, Vietnamese, using that word. But if you really look at the grand scheme of things, it's like, if you're put into that culture, and that's the culture that you're used to every single day, it's just part of who you are.
Yeah,
like, you're not fronting on that. You feel me?
Nah, I'm not. You know what I mean? And then don't take my word for it. You know what I mean? Do your homework on me. You know, it'll speak for itself. I think really the thing is kind of like I said, you know, some people just don't get that. Some people don't get that. There's them couple cases out of a million where, you know, you are that individual. In my neighborhood, I'm the only Hispanic. Word. Everybody else is black. You know what I mean? And that's always how it was. When I was well, I say like elementary, middle school, you know, over there in Oakland on 85th, in B Street, Tassafarango was one of the places that we used to play basketball a lot. And I was the only Mexican on my basketball team. You know what I mean?
What'd you play?
Shit, I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like,
wherever you fit
because you know, it was that young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of like them times where it wasn't really like a position to be played. It was just like let the youth play. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to fucking play. You know what I mean? But I was so involved with everybody that I said, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was that one that you'll toss the ball and make it, and everybody
some
go crazy.
Shit's gonna happen, bro.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't out for sure. I ain't never been no baller like that. You know what I mean? As far as basketball goes, but I was just so involved in the ghetto. Like, yeah, my nigga playing basketball. I'm about to join the team too. You know what I mean? And that was just normal to me, man. Like, it was never like I never felt like at a place. You know, it's funny because I was living in Houston for like 3 years.
Damn.
And that was I think like 2013 to 16.
What made you move out to Houston?
I caught a case. I caught a case back home, and I was still a minor. You know what I mean? So they ended up sending me back with my mom. You know, I was living on my own in the streets, and that was around the time where I kind of was like at my lowest. You know, sleeping in my car, and I was getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when that happened, you know what I mean? I couldn't really stay off the radar anymore. They sent me out there, but it was cool actually because I had a lot of people out there as far as business goes. You know what I mean? So I ended up going out there for 3 years, and one of the things that I noticed is that even though Houston is another black and brown city, it was real segregated. People would look at me like, I pull up to a show, be the only Mexican there, and be like, people would be like, man, who bought the essay?
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean? Like who bought that?
That's so weird.
And it wasn't like a bad thing, but it was like they was looking at me like if they were expecting for me to, feel out of place or uncomfortable. But nah, I blend in this motherfucker like.
I get you, bro. I mean, I don't know if this is too much of a comparison too, but like being from the Bay Area, like there are so many Filipinos, Mexicans, and blacks, and all sorts of Asians like around where I'm from in San Francisco, right? You know, San Francisco is just one big ass melting pot. And then as soon as I moved out here to LA, like I can tell you exactly where the Asians are. I can tell you where the blacks are. I can tell you where the Mexicans are, and I'm just like, the greater Los Angeles area is extremely segregated, and I never understood why. Like places like LA or in this case like Houston is just so broken up.
I mean, I think people just programmed that way. I love everybody culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just how I am. Like, I be on the Airbnb and shit when we travel. And, even when I come to LA, I'll stay in Koreatown. You know what I mean? Like, I be trying a little dope shit like that. I love everybody else's culture. You know what I mean? I love mine's too, but I do respect everybody else's shit. And I try a lot of foods. Now it's kind of, I'm kind of backed off of that. I don't eat meat no more. I'm vegetarian now.
Oh, word.
Yeah, but when I did, I used to like to dip and dab to everybody's culture, like Indian food, halal food,
So let
Korean.
me ask you this. Before, I still want to get into the vegetarian thing, right?
Okay.
But before going vegetarian, what is your favorite food culturally that's not of Mexican or El Salvadorian descent? Chinese food?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
For sure. That's what, and people actually trip out, you know what I mean? Because I work the chopsticks, you know what I mean?
Hey, bro, I work
the chopsticks. People be like, bro, you know how to use chopsticks? And it goes back to the community. We had a little Chinese buffet right there in the neighborhood, and it was one of them ghetto-ass Chinese spots, man, that didn't really clean their silverware all the way, but had fire-ass food. So chopsticks was the way.
Just give me the 2 wooden chopsticks, bro. We'll be good to go.
Straight, for sure.
Hey, that's actually a very rare skill, bro, because not that many people know how to use chopsticks.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I don't know if it was because I'm Mexican or something, but people kind of look at me like, he working them things all the way.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I mean? With everything, rice, not just, you know what I mean? I really know how to use them motherfuckers, too.
So then what made you go vegetarian? And when did you go vegetarian?
About like 2 years ago.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, 2 years ago, you know what I mean? And really pescatarian if you want to be exact. You know what I mean? Because I do shrimp and stuff like that. It was just kind of more like a health thing, man.
So for the non dietary knowledgeable people, break down a pescatarian, like your diet.
Yeah, pescatarian is basically you don't eat no meat, but you eat, like fish, shrimp. I don't eat fish.
Okay,
I'm not really a fan. But shrimp, I eat shrimp all day. You know what I mean? Because I've been eating.
So we can at least go to boiling crab together.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. That we can do. And I think, like I said, it was just a health thing. You know what I mean? Just kind of, man, you feel more energetic. You got more energy. Kind of get up, move around. I'm a fat nigga, man. I gotta be able to move around and shit. It's funny because I was just shooting that video with E40 the other day, and he was like, bro, how are you vegetarian but got that belly, though?
Dang.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I know how to cook, bro. You know what I mean? Don't get it fucked up just because we don't eat meat, beef, or anything like that don't mean that we don't eat good.
Yeah.
That's the key to really canceling the meat out is knowing how to cook.
100%.
100%.
It also saves money, bro.
It does, but it also gets expensive when you out eating. All the healthy
That's
shit.
true.
All the healthy shit is expensive.
Fuck, man.
You know what I mean? So, But you know, that's how they program you, man. You know, they want you to be able to afford all the junk food. And honestly, that shit, you know, that shit'll fuck you up through the long run. You know, I was a straight beef person. Tacos de asada, you know what I mean? Like asada tacos, pastor. I was big on all of that.
God, bro. See, I didn't even have breakfast or lunch yet, bro. So you making me hella hungry, bro.
See? It make you hungry. I don't even. It kind of like disgusts me now. You know what I mean? And you know when I say that, it's like I really mean that because I was big on that. I was big on pork too. Used to eat like pork skin and vinegar. You know what I mean? Like I used to really go in with all of that. And nope. Cancel that out.
So then how are you even at a family party, bro? Because I can only imagine, like, the rest of your family probably still eats meat.
They do. And, you know, real family adapt to family members. So with that being said, when we do a barbecue, they already know that
you got
for
the
gas,
separate plate.
Yeah, for sure. They know to bring the shrimp for gas. You know what I mean? Or like I said, Mexican food is actually one of the easiest to eat, you know, when you don't eat meat. Because if you eat a burrito, they just replace the meat with beans and rice.
Yeah.
You know, kind of cancels out. And like I said, you know, I really come from that struggle where for some time all we ate was beans and rice. So it's nothing.
Damn. I can only imagine the difficulty you had to go through in order to transition from, like, kind of being forced to eat the same food, the beans and rice, every single day into going into a vegetarian mode, man. I just got to commend you for that, bro.
It went from something like you got tired of that food, and now I even like it like twice as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, really, beans weren't my thing until I moved to Mexico. You know, I lived in Mexico for about 2 years. So, you know what I mean?
Bay Area, Houston. Then from Houston, do you go back to the Bay Area, or do you go to Mexico?
Yeah, so I was Bay Area, Mexico, Bay Area, Houston, Bay Area. You know what I mean? So
got you. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
You know, I was young when I was in Mexico, but you know, I mean, I really lived out there for like 2 years. You know, I went my first year of high school out there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that's my thing, man. Ghetto, just ghetto, any ghetto. You know what I mean? Any ghetto, man. You know, I'll blend in perfectly. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because a lot of people feel like, you know, once you get to traveling, you'll realize that's my most favorite part about traveling. Is going to different ghettos because we all live the same. You know what I mean? Like when I go to Kansas City, yeah, I could get a hotel room, I could get an Airbnb, but for the most part, I'm tapping in with my folks from down there, and they're like, come stay at my house. So I like to wake up the next morning, like if I'm a Kansas City nigga, where we going to eat? What's the famous breakfast spot here? Where's the hood joints? You know what I mean? I kind of like just everybody's culture, man. You know what I mean? I like that shit. You know, I've never been put in a situation, like I said, where I felt out of place.
So what were you learning about yourself and your culture being in a Mexican ghetto or like in a ghetto in Mexico?
That's crazy that you said that because one thing that I realized in Mexico was that at some point I wasn't Mexican enough.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like that's I know it sounds trippy, but you know, being from out here, you know, when you're out here, you know, you might be considered not American enough. Mm-hmm. But then you go back to Mexico and you're not Mexican enough.
That makes
you know what I mean?
Okay.
So when I was in Mexico, you know, like I said, it was like one of them things. Oh, you from the other side, huh? Or like, you know, and they were like we're born and raised in Mexico. You know what I mean? We sing the Mexican anthem when we wake up in the morning for school, and you know, it's a different ball game over there, man. And but you know, that's one thing that I always like to remind people when certain people get into talking about like why you act like this, why you act like that. Don't forget that even though that I grew up in the ghetto out here in Oakland. You know, I also experienced the Mexican lifestyle too.
Oh yeah.
Like I actually went to school out there. You know what I mean? You know, I worked out there. At some point, I used to sell cheese door to door. Real
shit.
Mexican shit, bro. You know what I mean? I ain't never ashamed to talk about it. You know what I mean? It was a real humbling experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To just kind of go out there. The reason I was out there, I was just a badass kid. You know what I mean? My mom was like, "I'm about to send you with your godparents, show you what it's like to really be broke. You think you in the ghetto here." You know,
that's some real that's some shit.
And that's what I'm saying. You think you know, out here, you know, we talk about the jets and the projects and public housing. You go over there, people's houses are made out of cardboard. You know what I mean? And That's the real ghetto, the slums where kids walking around, running around with no shoes.
Yeah.
You know, but once again, blended in there. You know what I mean? 2 years, knocked it out. You know what I mean? Came back. You know what I mean?
So
Just
you have so much traveling between like the different states and even like a different country, just learning so much about culture. Where does rap fit into all of this, bro?
Well, so for the Mexican, when I was in Mexico, I think the rap came in place because that's when my Spanglish came in place.
What year was this?
This was 2008.
Okay,
this
so about 11 years ago.
I remember it because I think it was, the election was going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? 2008, 2009. And, that was when the Spanglish came in place because I already rapped when I went out there. You know what I mean? Wasn't as professional or anything like that, but I was already rapping. I was already writing music. And when I went out there, they used to rap out there too. You know what I mean? So when I used to be on the corner right there with all the people from the neighborhood, I'd be rapping in English, and I was spitting some shit, but they couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
So I made it a goal to go back home every day and learn Spanish music, Spanish flow,
Damn, bro.
to where I'll come back to the corner the next day, be like, look what I got.
Yeah, and they could understand you just right off the
bat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So
and, it was like, if you go to Mexico, man, one thing they do is they roast the fuck out of you. You know what I mean? You gotta have thick skin. You know what I mean? You gotta have thick skin out there. And, just, rapping in Spanish, biting your tongue a lot. It wasn't easy for me, man, because even though, I grew up in a Hispanic family and, my mom speaks a lot of Spanish, actually, my first language was still English.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of harder for me when I went to Mexico. Like I said, to them, I didn't speak good enough Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came out rapping in Spanish, I used to bite my tongue or I wouldn't roll my R's.
Yeah, it's kind of like this broken Spanish, and they're probably looking at you like this fool doesn't know what he's talking about right now.
So,
but I think as an artist too, that also challenges your artistry because now
definitely.
I want to say I heard one of your songs and I heard some Spanish in it.
Well, it's funny that you had said about people incorporating Spanish now in their music.
Yeah.
But I want to go ahead and say it that in my area, in my whole section, in California, period, and I don't give a fuck how individual feel about it. I've been doing that shit before a lot of you niggas. You know what I mean? And I overlap niggas when it comes to Spanglish. The only thing with me and why I put it on pause was because, once again, the game been moving so fast. And when I first came in this game, I wanted to actually set my platform as an English artist before I even threw the Spanish bars out there. So this whole time, I've been trying to leave my imprint on the English industry before I even bring the Spanish in there. You know what I mean? But if you do go back to my early music, there's a lot of Spanish verses. Back when people would be like, what the fuck? Why he got a Spanish verse on here? When it was weird to do. Now, like you said, everybody doing
now
it.
It's like
everybody got a third verse in Spanish,
bro.
You know
like Tyga got that hot song. Even Miles Parrish, he's from the Bay, white boy. He got this song called "Drop It," and I'm just like, yo, like and to me, like it's kind of cool seeing music evolve in that sense, and especially knowing that somebody like yourself who kind of like cultivated and curated that sound like way back when. It's kind of cool seeing how like later down the line, we're actually seeing the fruits of your labor into fruition now.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because the game moves so fucking fast,
so
man.
So fast, bro.
So fast. I was just telling somebody that the other day. When I was 13, we used to go to these little events over there in San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
It was called UGMX. You know what I mean? And you'll come through, you'll perform your songs, and they'll have judges from like 106 and Park there. You know what I mean? To be able to bring you on the show and shit like that. And one thing that they used to get on me about was like, you too young. Like, you're dope, but you're too young to be rapping about what you're rapping about. My content didn't match my age and their opinion. You know what I mean? This was before the youth was actually popping. They'll see a 13-year-old talk about some street shit. They'll be like, nah, that's not going to sell. Till the Chief Keef came through. Chief Keef was actually one of the people that paved the way for the youth because he was one of them young artists that got the couple $1 million deal, just to be rapping about some real street shit, and that was really in the streets. So I think once he came about, now the artist, now 16, 17 is prime time.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I mean? Before, it was like, you're not old enough. You know what I mean?
Which doesn't really make sense. I mean, if you think about it like back then, it really doesn't make sense. Who's to say that you're not old enough to be doing what you actually do?
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, like in this age of social media, we can actually give video proof of what we do, which I would not recommend.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's not really up for somebody else to judge whether your livelihood is actually true or false.
No,
it's just up to the artist. Like, if you're really about that shit, then you know there's gonna be consequences if you actually are or aren't.
I think a lot of people was just, you know, when you kind of, you know, growing up, you see the you know, the neighborhood movies, all the hood movies, like Menace to Society and all that shit. Where was the kids? You know what I mean?
That's
you
true.
know, you had your kids. Yeah, you had, you know, like in Boys in the Hood, you had the little kids walking around. You want to see a dead body? Badass little niggas. That was probably the closest they got to like what the youth was like when I was coming up. Cause we was with all the shit. We was with all the shit. You know what I mean? That was like when I was coming up, even as a teenager. Like when I was a kid, like 9, 10 years old, teenagers still kind of, you know, looked out for kids our age. Cause you liable to get smacked up by one of kids my age. You know, you liable to get smacked by me. You know, being 17, 16. You know, so I mean, we've been outside, you know what I mean? And I think over the generations, the age has definitely gotten younger.
Yes.
You know, I've been to a couple of neighborhoods where, you know, some young kids, like 8, 9, carry themselves really, you know, maturely. You know what I mean? And like you said, I mean, I respect it because I know how it is sometimes growing up in that environment. You got to grow up fast sometimes. You know what I mean? No matter what, some people don't got dads. Some people don't got parents, period. You know what I mean? Like, and that mentality just kind of triggers, you know, like, you know, I'm around a lot of kids. I love kids, you know what I mean? And I notice 8, 9-year-olds kind of, they could kind of do everything on their own. But the fact that they got you there to do it, they allow you to do it. But you put an 8, 9-year-old in an environment where he has nobody and nobody's going to do it if he doesn't do it himself. That's when you'll start see that mind mature a little more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like that's like kind of back in the day. My mom used to work. We used to be kids staying home alone. You know what I mean? Like, you know, now people get bashed for some shit like that. Like, you left your kids at the house. You know what I mean? But when we were young, we were cooking for ourselves. You know what I mean? We were already you know, showered and ready for school for the next day. Like, we took care of ourselves. And I think that's the only thing different about this generation. This generation, crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
But when it comes to being responsible and knowing how to handle your own, you know what I mean, at home, I mean, you know, a lot of people lacking that nowadays.
So seeing as how the generation is different from how you were raised, how I was raised, and how, like, the newer kids are raised, like, how do you raise your kids?
I raise my kids with a little mixture of everything. I like my kids to know that you could kind of switch off and on. Like, you know, I'm a business owner too. You know what I mean? I got my own clothing line and stuff like that.
Is it the one you're rocking right now?
No, this is actually my brother's clothing line right here. This the Trapping and Tripping.
There you go.
You know, I got the Trap Hours clothing, you know what I mean, that I've been running since like 2013. And that's one of the things, like, you know, that I've always kind of lived by and was taught by, you know, the older individuals in my neighborhood, was that you got to know how to switch off and on. Like, when you in the streets, you in the streets. You know what I mean? Your full focus is in the streets.
Yeah.
When you go do some business, your full focus is in business.
On the business.
You gotta learn how to talk. You gotta learn how to approach people. You know what I mean? Like, I could really switch off to where we was on the phone, you wouldn't even know it was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta really just, you know, they said you know, I heard this since I was a kid. They said one of the most dangerous individuals out there is somebody that's book smart and street smart. You know what I mean? And those them individuals that you can't really break, because a lot of people have, you know, a lot of street smarts and respect in the streets, but they might get played into a situation that they weren't aware of. You know, that's how a lot of these artists get played into these deals. You know what I mean? Like, just regular street niggas that they flashing a little bit of money, don't know what they're getting themselves into. So that's kind of how I raise my kids, man, is just letting them know that, you know, first and foremost, you know, there's a specific way. You know, my kids don't do no bullying and nothing like that, but they also won't be bullied. You get where I'm going with that. It's kind of like, it's, you know, certain things that we don't tolerate You know, because when we was growing up, we didn't fuck with bullies either. We used to beat up bullies for trying to walk around and pick their little fights. You know what I mean? But I don't allow my kids to be like that either. You know what I mean? But I also don't allow them to get picked on.
Yeah, that's a really good mentality to instill in your kids because it gives them both perspectives.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like I said, you know, just got to know when to switch off and on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody tests your character, you know, and it comes down to a respect thing, then you already know. But, you know, when it comes to longevity and making money and putting yourself in a business environment or whatever type of line of work you want to do, you gotta be presentable, man, and you gotta, you know what I mean. That's the problem. Like a lot of these people wait till they go to prison, and then come out educated and you know now in order. When really that could have been something that you was doing since the streets, and you'd have been probably a little more powerful.
So I want to ask you this because you are one of the most intellectual individuals who I've had on this podcast, and I can really feel it based off how you're talking and like the demeanor that you carry with yourself. Who did you learn from?
Man, he said,
who did you learn from,
you know,
bro?
one of the people that I learned from was actually, you know, one of my managers now. You know, my big brother Royce. You know, that was kind of one of the people that I was looking up to in our neighborhood growing up.
Shout out Royce. Royce is the one who reached out to me.
You know what I mean?
Shout out Royce.
Shout out to my brothers, man. Like I said, you know, that's kind of where the baby and the baby gas comes from, just being the youngest around people, you know what I mean? And kind of just knowing. I always said a saying that said, you know, I grew up a little early, so I saw people slip on banana peels, and that kind of gave me a chance to not slip on the same one.
I feel you.
Basically, not follow the same footsteps.
You kind of learn like what not to do at that point.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I've actually been blessed for a lot of that free game. You know what I mean? Because, you know, longevity. You know what I mean? For sure.
It's hard, bro, and it's hard, especially with you working with E40, right? Like it's a blessing to see somebody who's been in the game for such a long time and be so prominent. Has he given you game on like longevity and how to maneuver through this rap game?
Yeah, man. You know, he gave me game before I even met him. You know, like as far as you know, through his music. You know, I already got a lot of game through that. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us did, and some people just don't give credit. But you know, when me and him first got on the phone too, and we was talking about the track, you know, that was one thing that he said. You know what I mean? Like, just don't let up in this game. You know what I mean? Keep applying pressure. And that's something I've always... keep applying pressure. Yeah. And I've always kind of learned that, you know what I mean? Consistency is everything. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when songs grow onto you, or you might eat something and you didn't like it the first time, and then the second time around it kind of fucked you up because you didn't like it the first time, but this time it's cool. You know, that's kind of how I take my artistry. Like,
well, I'll even latch on to the consistency part, because even after listening to Ghetto Vato, after going on your Spotify, I'm like, oh, okay, there's 2018. Oh, wait, there's also something in 2017, 16, 15. Damn, this shit goes all the way back to like 2012. Like, cool. Now there's like a whole ass catalog I could listen to. And my point being is that, like, you're not defined by just Ghetto Vato. You have like a whole year's worth. You have so much catalog to you that just adds on to your resume and to the respect that I give you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing. I just been waiting for my number to be called, man. You know what I mean? And it's a patience like thing, you know what I mean? And you know, kind of, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, kind of like Nipsey Hussle said, rest in peace. You know, he kind of said, like, you know, you gotta, from day one, you gotta give it your all. You know what I mean? So when your day comes, you can leave comfortably knowing that you gave this shit your all. You know, you're not gonna take nothing with you.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've been going hard since I started. You know what I mean? And you know, there ain't no plan on stopping.
Ain't no stop. All gas, no brakes.
Yeah, all gas, no brakes. Yeah, for sure. All gas, no brakes. Yeah, you know, and I think that's what, like you said, people respect it. You know, even though, you know, I'm around tons of successful people, millionaires, all of that, big artists. You know, people that got big fan bases, and you know, they respect me not because, you know, my talent. You know. They respect me as, you know, because they know I've been around.
Yeah.
Like, and I, you know, one thing about me is like, I got so many millionaire friends or popping friends, you know what I mean, that are artists and been fucking around in the game. I've never asked for like a feature, nothing. I've never been one of those, man. You know, people just see me and they're like, Gas, what's up? I see you doing your thing, you know what I mean? They know I'll get there, and I know I'll get there, you know what I mean? But at my own pace. You know what I mean? You know how they say, stay in your own lane. That's all I've been doing.
Oh, yeah, bro. Did you know that if you just stay at one consistent miles per hour range on your car, you can actually go up to like 800 miles?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
My point being, if you keep your foot on the gas at a consistent pace, you're going to get even farther than most people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, nah, for sure. For sure.
So I got to ask you, bro, I've been looking at your necklace this entire time. Who's on it?
My mom.
Okay.
My mom. And just clear things up, she did not pass.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's just one thing. You know, I got major love for my mom. You know what I mean?
You keep moms close to your chest all the time,
for sure.
bro.
You know, and I didn't, she was one of the people that taught me, you be good and show love to people while they're here. So when they leave, you don't feel that weight on your shoulders. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people like, man, I ain't said I love you. I ain't said goodbye, or I ain't kicked it with them in a year or two. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I grew up in a household where no matter where we went or where my mom went, it was always I love you and a kiss goodbye.
Wow,
you know
man.
What I mean? I'm big on family, bro. That defines me. You know what I mean? You see, I'm in here with my daughter behind these cameras. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Baby Gas popping. Yeah. Hey, by the way, she got like a whole ass album coming out soon too, right?
Yep. We put together the little dirty diapers and infant meal. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of just want to get him going. You know, I keep him. I keep her around a lot. You know what I mean? My other kids kind of, they're just busy at growing up and being kids. She's the one that's, for some reason, I think it was because when she was actually in her mom's belly, she used to be in the studio a lot.
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean? So now
she's the musically inclined one.
Yeah. I ain't no telling because sometimes they'll come out the cuts on the other ones. But this one was definitely that was fucking with it from the jump. People, I go to studios and people try to turn the music down. She don't like that.
No.
Bump that shit.
Bump it up.
Yeah,
maximize that shit. How old's your eldest kid?
9.
Oh, wow.
9.
They're all still so young, man.
Yeah, 9. You know what I mean? So, we got a whole pack. Between me and her, we got a whole pack.
Okay.
Yeah, between me and her, we got a whole pack. You know what I mean?
The legacy will live on forever.
Yeah.
In the Gas family.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? So, kids are just, like, my kids are just everything to me, man. Mm-hmm. As far as everything that I do, why I do it, you know what I mean? I make sure I include them. And like I said, the older kids, you know what I mean? They're kind of like, that, like I said, I'll bring them here. They just want to go play. Mm-hmm. They want to be on their phones. But the youngest one, I make sure
she's around.
Let me try something different with her. You know what I mean?
You never really
bring
know,
her
bro.
around. Yeah. You never know. You know what I mean? For sure.
So, Baby Gas, man, the album Ghetto Vato releasing in August?
Yes, August 2nd.
August 2nd.
Yeah.
Since it's not out yet, what's the biggest takeaway that you want people to take away from the album?
Simplify that for me, because that little sentence.
It was kind of a confusing question when I pitched it, but like, so when the album's out and people get to listening to it, like, what is it that you want them to take away from the album? What do you want them to learn about you?
The whole Ghetto Vato title. I've been dealing with that problem for years. Although I don't care what people think, I ain't never give a fuck what a motherfucker got to say about me, man. You know what I mean? But I do like to explain to the actual fans that want to know why, I talk like this, why I move like this, or where am I from. You know what I mean? I kind of want them to kind of just go back to that Ghetto Vato title and really listen to that whole album, man. It's just, it's the truth. You know what I mean? It's not everybody's situation, but it's mine. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This is how I grew up. You know what I mean? I was just telling somebody this the other day. Growing up, and my mom was a single mother. You know what I mean? So she worked double shifts. You know what I mean? And she was always at work. So we kind of was raised by the streets. And considering the fact that I was the only Mexican in my neighborhood and one of very few in my whole community, we learned the black culture. I learned the black culture before I even learned my own.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Because it wasn't until I got a little older and started reaching in and dipping and dabbing in the places that I started learning. But, you know, at a young age, I already, you know, Black History Month, we already knew about Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King, you know, Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I got the chance to actually move to Mexico that I got fully in tune with my Mexican side, you know, as far as like Pancho Villa, Emiliano Zapata, you know, it just, people just don't understand, man. You know, a lot of people just speak before they even know, you know what I mean? And that's just the thing. Like I said, I respect all cultures, you know what I mean? Because like you were saying, we grew up, and where I'm from, we grew up with blacks, Asians, you know, and, you know, we got Filipinos, you know, Laos, Koreans, you know, Samoans, Tongans, you know, all the islanders. We got Middle Easterns, you know what I mean? Like, nobody fuck around, you know what I mean? That's what I don't know about everybody else, but in East Oakland, California, man, don't get none of these races confused. They all with the shit. You know what I mean? It might be different cities where the Asians are known to kind of just be in their little Asian little world, or the Mexicans are being the little Asian. Nah, it ain't like that where I'm from, man. These niggas ain't taking no shit.
Well, shout out to East Oakland, man. Probably the realest part of the Bay Area.
Man,
I will say that.
Shout out to the town, man. You already know.
I gotta ask you this before we head out, man. What's your favorite Bay Area song of all time?
Favorite Bay Area song of all times, man. As far as like,
obviously, aside from your own music.
Yeah, no, personal favorite. I think it kind of just it got to be Mac Dre, man. You know, Mac Dre for sure. You know what I mean? Because it was that song gonna be since '84.
Ooh,
since '84.
See, I thought you were gonna go with the Get Stupid.
No.
Thizzle Dance, but
since
84,
yeah,
I respect
since
that.
'84 for sure. You know what I mean?
I've been out here getting my dough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And rest in peace, Swamp Cat too on them on that instrumental. You know what I mean? Yeah, since '84, like, cause like you said, it wasn't your typical hyphy song. It was really, you know, really speaking some shit. You know what I mean? And that's a song I still listen to now, and it takes me back through all the years of the Bay Area.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Hell
like,
yeah, bro.
all the way back, you know, keep in mind, I'm only 23. You know what I mean? I'm only 23, so I'm
serious,
yeah,
bro?
so I'm 95. Yep.
Damn, bro. See, I'm 26, but your mentality, I thought you were like at least 28, 29 because of your mentality, bro. That's insane.
23,
wow.
23.
You are just that much more impressive, bro.
Appreciate you.
Bro, Baby Gas, where can everybody find you, man?
Man, at Instagram, man. Baby Gas, you know what I mean? You know, find me on Spotify, all the online streaming sites, you know what I mean? Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube channel, Trap Hours TV, you know what I mean? And yeah, from there, all the extras, you'll find all the extras on my Instagram. Really, you could just follow my Instagram and you'll be outsourced to everything from there.
There we go, man. Also, shout out to Desi Hollow. I saw that y'all performed over at
man,
Brick and Mortar. I was supposed to go to that thing, but I'm like, yo, Desi, I can't, man.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, that's the bro right there, man. Shout out Desi Hollow. Shout out Oceanside. Go get that Fireside. You know what I mean?
You already know what's up, man.
Yeah,
Desi, you need to pay this man his 5%. You feel me?
That's my bro. You know, when I support somebody, I genuinely support them. You know what I mean? So that's the bro right there, man.
Amen.
Shout out to
that,
Hollow
man.
for sure.
And just as we at the lunch table, myself, Nico Blitz, support you, Baby Gas. This
Appreciate
is the lunch
you.
table, food for thought. I'm Nico
sure.
Blitz, Baby Gas, and we're out, everybody.
Huh.